U.S. defense officials say this is the real deal. Russia test firing its new high-speed hypersonic missile, a missile that the U.S. military currently cannot defend against. Russian President Vladimir Putin pulling no punches on his intent.
The new avant-garde missile system is invincible against today's and future air and missile defense systems of the potential enemy. This is a big success and a great achievement.
If the weapons work as advertised, there is no current defense against them.
The Russian missile has captured the attention of Patrick Shanahan, the Deputy Defense Secretary, who will take over as acting Pentagon chief when Secretary James Mattis leaves next week. Shanahan warns the U.S. needs to be able to detect the fast-flying missile much further away than current radar systems can handle. The U.S. has to detect it thousands, not hundreds of miles away because of its high-speed approach. The Pentagon may spend more than $1 billion trying to develop and field its own capabilities.
We have a number of options going on with hypersonic missiles.
The Russians are making significant yet unproven claims about their missiles, saying it's capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. It flies up to 20 times faster than the speed of sound. It can adjust altitude and direction to avoid detection. Putin says it's invincible.
We're going to need a different set of sensors in order to see the hypersonic threats. Our adversaries know that.
The challenges are also political for President Trump, whose relationship with Russian President Putin has been rocky since July's Helsinki summit.
Putin feels incredibly emboldened. Putin believes this is the time to press his advantage. He's put his forces in Ukraine, in eastern Ukraine. He's, of course, taken over Crimea. He's now gaining ground in Syria. This is Russia's time, in his view.
Now, because the Russians are putting so much effort into this new missile, the U.S. is responding by funding its own effort. The Pentagon says it has no choice but to proceed.
Yeah, let's take a look at it, Ryan. It's called the Avant-Garde Missile System, and it's called a system because what we're really talking about here is a hypersonic glider that you put on top of an ICBM to launch it into space and then get it closer to your target. Flies about 20 times the speed of sound. Some estimates have it up at Mach 27, incredibly fast, can carry a nuclear warhead. And the real scary thing about this is that as it closes in on its target, it can independently zig and zag and to avoid missile defenses. The Pentagon, for their part, they are still working on hypersonic systems of our own, but it doesn't look like we're going to have a hypersonic system in development, or at least in the field, for at least 2 to 4 years from now. So the Russians are ahead of us on this. The other problem with this missile system is that our radar systems, according to the acting Secretary of Defense, Patrick Shanahan, are not strong enough, not capable enough of detecting it far enough away because of the speed. So this is a real worry, and it's got the Pentagon planners, I'm sure, working very, very hard. There's another system, an underwater system that the Russians are working on and that Putin has been bragging about. It's called the Poseidon. It is a nuclear-powered, that's right, it's a torpedo with a nuclear reactor in it that can also carry nuclear warheads. It is very long range, up to about 6,000 miles. It can travel at depths of up to 3,000 feet, and it's very fast. Somewhere the estimates are between 55 and 100 knots, 55 to 100 miles an hour underwater. The idea for this weapon is to go after large ships like aircraft carriers or shore installations. And again, this is not a system for which we have adequate defenses right now. Very worrisome. This is in testing right now, not in the fleet, not as far along as the Avant-Garde. Now look, the Russians have also been doing a lot of military buildup and increasing their capabilities throughout the whole year. Back in March, they tested a new intercontinental ballistic missile called the Satan II, which can carry up to 26 independently targeted warheads, re-entry vehicles, if you will, 10 of them of a large size. In September, back in the fall, they did war games with China. Now, these war games in the East have typically been done to deter China. They've been about sort of making sure China knew not to mess with Russia. This year, they worked with China to send a message to the West and to the United States in particular. Back in October, of course, they've now using satellite imagery, we've been able to tell they've been upgrading military installations in Kaliningrad on the Baltic Sea, right on the doorstep of NATO. And then in November, they tested a satellite system called the Nesting Doll. Now, what's really interesting about this is not so much the actual satellite itself, but the little satellite that comes out that it puts into space outside of it. Now, the Russians will tell you this is about being able to work on satellites, that this little guy is meant to go fix and repair other satellites that they have in orbit, but the Pentagon is worried that what it could be is actually a targeting mechanism to go after Western satellites, either with lasers or maybe even to crash into them. So the Russians have been very busy this year. This is going to be certainly on the plate of Pentagon planners and the new Secretary of Defense, whoever that ends up being, well into 2019.
Stay focused for Jesus.
Thanks for waking up with us.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Stand Focused for Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ as always. Today is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Oh, yeah, buddy. We are living in some, we already know that we're living in some exciting times, but I tell you, everything going on, it just got a little bit more exciting. It just got a little bit more exciting, huh? At least for those of us who are in Christ. At least for those of us who are in Christ, because we know what it means. We know that our redemption is closer than it was before. Obviously, as days go by, we get closer and closer. But when we see these prophetic things happening, we should get excited. We should get excited because we know what it means. I'm excited to see if this is going to lead to World War III. Somebody may say, oh my God, how could you say such a thing? Well, World War III is going to happen anyway. It's not just me saying it. But if I say it, I'm wrong. But if the people that some of you vote for, they say, oh, it's okay if they say it. Everybody knows that World War III is going to happen. Most people, even though they know something's going to happen, they still avoid it. Everybody knows they're going to die, but they still avoid it. They still avoid it. They still push it off until it's too late, right? That's just the nature of most people. I want to say this before I get into this sermon. I'm going to give you some scriptures to go along with this. When you're praying, especially when you're praying for, let's say, other nations, like the ones that are involved in this conflict right now. I understand you praying for the people and stuff like that, but make sure that what you're praying isn't going against God's will. Make sure what you're praying isn't going against God's will. We know that most people that profess to be Christians, believers, or whatever word you want to use, whatever term you want to use, they're not indwelled with the Holy Spirit. And so their prayers are vain. Again, I'm not telling you who to pray for. But when I pray, I want my prayers to be in line with the will of God. As you see from the title of the video, is America afraid of World War III? To answer that question, yes. America is shaking in her stilettos, her her hooker pumps at the thought of World War III. America does not want World War III. The question we must ask ourselves is why? A country that loves war, loves bloodshed, why all of a sudden doesn't America want World War III? Well, the blood that America shed throughout the years and everything America has done under the guise of God, they've done it and they have been allowed to do it on their terms, on her terms. But now, with the whole change-o, that wasn't on America's terms. With this conflict that's going on, that wasn't on America's terms. If it wasn't America's terms, then whose terms was it on? You got plagues, pestilences, wars and rumors of wars, inflation and people going even more hungry than what they were. The old saying, the rich getting rich and the poor getting poor. The rich getting richer and the poor getting poor. Yeah, some of y'all give too much credit to the devil. We're going to find out why America is so afraid of World War III. Let me jump over here. This is a post I made 20 hours ago. Little video right here. This is why you study history and the past. This video is from 3 years ago. I believe President Putin has some advanced technology that he got from, let's just say, a higher place. Spiritual wickedness in high places. I believe this is why he's even more bold with the statements he has made. President Putin has made some very, very bold statements. And he ain't, he got some big balls, don't he? Either he bluffing to the heavens, or Putin got something that certain Americans know about, and they don't want to go there. He hasn't made threats. He has boldly stated what he would do in certain situations, and it's technology that the United States hasn't figured out, even in 2022, is a major reason for it. Then you can go on my page, you can watch the video and everything. This is from 3 years ago. Very, very interesting video. We got Sister Clark on here. And she said, I heard or read somewhere he has higher technology. I said, it seems that way. I was researching nuclear stuff and came across that video. I'm going to be adding this clip to my sermon I'm getting together now. That's the clip you saw at the beginning. That's the clip you saw at the beginning. Does Putin got something? I think he does. I think Putin gotten something. I think he got something. We want to jump over to the scriptures. You got children being slaughtered, killed in the world. Oh my God, the children. Is it that we only care about a certain group of children? Is it only that we care about a certain group of people? I mean, which one is it? I got another video coming on this topic. Not specifically World War III, but some of the racism that's going on in Ukraine and in that area. Like, how can you be at war and still find a way to be racist? Find a way, like, your skin color and whatever. You know, it goes both ways, but we're dealing with Ukraine and Russia and these different areas. These people have still found a way to be racist. Not only them, but America also. Using this to push a certain agenda. If you don't believe me, you can just go look it up. But if you don't want to go look it up, I'll put it together for you. After this manner, therefore pray ye. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. His kingdom can't come without all these things happening. Now, of course, we're praying for people's salvation. I don't care if they so-called white or so-called black. I want people to be saved. Because the word says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I know, I know the benefits of being saved and not having that weight upon you anymore. I sleep good. I'm like Jesus. The storm is raging and everything. I be sleeping good, eating good. I threw some fish, some whitened fish, on the grill the other day, and I just had 2 sunny side up eggs, well done, with a piece of turkey breast and some, I call it hot slaw. I take the coleslaw mix and I season it up real good and I put it on that griddle. Oh, you got to try it. I call it hot slaw. And I was missing one thing. I was missing my onions, but that thing was busting. It was busting. Why would I not want that? Why would I not want that for other people? And this is just me personally. You may think differently. That's you. But I would want that for anybody, whether they are black or white. I ain't getting the whole red, green, blue, and purple. That's bull jive. Because ain't no red or green, purple people walking around. If they were, we will all be looking at them like they're crazy. Like, who is this? We look at people crazy when they got crazy colors in their hair. But you talking about some all people, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, shut up. Stop saying that if you say it. Think about that. If you really saw a red person, would you accept them readily? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, yeah, I think I'm going to go the other way. And you probably pull your phone out. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Thy will be done where? In earth as it is in heaven. Huh. Did you catch that? The same things that are happening in earth is happening in the heavenly realms. Microcosm, macrocosm. This is why we discuss these things. That's what we call it in this world, in this earth. Everything that's going on right now is a part of his will. If children are being slaughtered, blood is being shed, all these different things are happening, then it's according to his will. Deal with it. Deal with it. The reason that people get so offended and get bent out of shape when we talk about things like this, for one, they have another Jesus, most of them. And two, their understanding and perspective of death isn't a biblical understanding and biblical perspective of death. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? For example, if I die before Christ comes, my wife knows how I want to be buried. I expect her to fulfill that. How do I want to be buried? Don't want to be cremated? Come on now. Do I want to be put in a pine box? Nope. Do I want a gold casket? Because, I'm just such a great man. I deserve a gold casket? Nope. Do I want to be buried in a Lamborghini? Or with my money or with all these possessions? Nope. I want to be buried under a tree. I want to be buried and I want an oak tree or some type of tree like that to be put on top of me. That's how I want to be buried. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. Who are they going to receive from? From the Almighty, the Holy One of Israel. What are they going to receive? If his children be multiplied, if they increase in their own kind, It is for the sword. It ain't just talking about the word. It's talking about literal sword. It is for war. It's for destruction. It's for them to be destroyed. And his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Oh, the children in Ukraine. I'm trying to avoid saying it. They'll flag a video, but whatever. Flag it all you want to. Take it down for hate speech. I don't really care. At this point, it is what it is. If his children be multiplied, the wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, it is for the sword. Oh, the children, the children, the children. You may say, well, what about y'all? Black folks been getting slaughtered for all these years. Well, a lot of black folks is wicked. They're wicked with God. So what you talking about? Disobedience, rebellion. This is why we getting slaughtered the way we getting slaughtered. Well, people ain't praying for us like that, is they? I'm just being real. If you're gonna pray, pray. If you're gonna pray, pray. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. Giving your children and everything, giving them over to the murderer so they can murder them as blood sacrifices. This is God talking about Ephraim now. Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give? What? You know this is in the Bible. Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. Don't even let them have children because of their wickedness. They in pleasant places, but they're bringing forth children so they can give them to these unclean spirits, these devils, these false gods. Don't even let them bring forth children, Lord. Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. The Bible got some stuff in here, don't it? The Bible got some stuff in here. All their wickedness is in Gilgal. For there I hated them. Oh, we ain't allowed to hate nobody. Remember, we're talking about Hosea here. The same Hosea that God had to marry a prostitute. For a specific reason. And everything that Hosea was going through, God put that in his heart. So if Hosea hated them, then that means that's how God felt. Because God put that hatred in his heart. It was a righteous hatred. But you've been taught that we aren't allowed to hate. When you go look up the word abhor, abhor is greater than hatred. And yet the Bible tells us that we're allowed to abhor, but we're not allowed to hate. No, the Bible says that you're not allowed to abhor without a cause, to hate without a cause, to judge without a cause. He said, if you're going to judge, judge righteously. You're not allowed to call somebody a fool without a cause. For there I hated them. Why did you hate them, brother Hosea? Why did you hate them, prophet Hosea? For the wickedness of their doing, I will drive them out of mine house. I will love them no more. All their princes are revolters. Now remember, God is speaking this to Hosea, so Hosea is saying this on behalf of God. Ephraim is smitten. Their root is dried up. They shall bear no fruit. We know the word says about a tree doesn't bring forth good fruit. What it's good for, what's going to happen to it, to be hewn down and cast into the fire. Meaning cast into hell and then the lake of fire. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. Even if they bring forth children, even if I allow them that bring forth children, I'm going to slay their children. They brought it on themselves. We ain't just talking about the situation that's going on right now. We ain't just talking about, oh, God going to show favoritism towards Israel. Because, hey, this is Israel. This is Ephraim. This is Ephraim, God. Let them keep on doing wickedness and, hey, give them a free pass. No. Your children will be given up to the slaughter if they multiply to be walking in wickedness. And also, the other nations that are doing what they're doing right now. Children being given over to the slaughter because of their wickedness. My God will cast them away because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations. Interesting how, you got these different nations over there, specifically in one place that we know about. They are having to go to these different places, up into Poland and up into different parts of Europe and stuff like that. Remember, judgment to the Jew first and then to the Gentile. Go back and watch our sermon from yesterday or the day before, depending on when I drop this one. But the one prior to this one, to understand about the Gentiles. Psalms 109. Oh, Lord, you thought this was saying something about give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. Wait till we read this. Hold not thy peace, O God of my praise. Interesting that Psalms 83 starts off like that. Keep not thou silent, O God. Why? Because the nations are confederate against God and against his people Israel. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. They compassed me about also with words of hatred, and fought against me without a cause. For my love they are my adversaries, but I give myself into prayer. I prayed for them, and they kept on coming stronger and stronger, hating me even more and more. And they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. Okay. They want to keep on doing that. I prayed for them. They want to keep on. Look what he says. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let strangers spoil his labor. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his father's children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of their fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth, because that he remembered not to show mercy, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay the broken in heart. As he loved cursing, so let it come unto him. As he delighted not in blessing, so let it be far from him. As he clothed himself with cursing like as with his garment, so let it come into his bowels like water, and like oil into his bones. Let it be unto him as the garment which covereth him, and for a girdle wherewith he is girded continually. Let this be the reward of my adversaries from the Lord, and of them that speak evil against my soul. But do thou for me, O God the Lord, for thy name's sake. Because thy mercy is good, deliver thou me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I am gone like the shadow when it declineth. I am tossed up and down as the locust. My knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh faileth of fatness. I became also a reproach unto them. When they looked upon me, they shake their heads. Help me, O Lord my God, and save me according to thy mercy, that they may know that this is thy hand, that thou, Lord, hast done it. Let them curse, but bless thou. When they arise, let them be ashamed, but let thy servant rejoice. Let my adversaries be clothed with shame, and let them cover themselves with their own confusion as with a mantle. I will greatly praise the Lord with my mouth, yea, I will praise him among the multitude. For he shall stand at the right hand of the poor, to save him from those that condemn his soul. Obviously, without a cause. My. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord hath not done it? How many times have we read this scripture? Over and over again. God saying, no, you cannot be my friend, because you keep on walking in wickedness and evil. Who is doing this evil that's going on? Oh, Putin, President Putin, he's an evil man. Oh, he's evil. He's like Adolf Hitler. He's so evil. If he's evil, then who is allowing the evil to be done? The Lord. If there is evil in a city, in a town, in a country, in a nation, in the world, in the earth, in the universe, in the galaxies, in whatever, the Lord is allowing it. So what are y'all talking about? Now, yeah, you can pray for mercy, but if the Lord ain't giving the mercy, they need to find out why the Lord ain't giving the mercy. I'm just gonna be honest. I ain't praying for it to stop. I'm praying for His will to be done. And if it's part of His will is this, and for it to lead to World War III, so we can get the heavens out of here, Thy will be done. And don't tarry, Lord. Don't tarry. Come on with it. You give me a choice of getting a 6-figure check from this real estate deal, or getting the heavens up out of here. Hey, you need me to do anything else? You don't need me to do nothing else? Let's go. Let's roll. I'm out. Hey. Y'all, come on, children. Let's go. Come on. Time to go. Come on, mama. Come on, mama. My mother-in-law, come on. Come on, wife. Y'all go. Let's go, brothers and sisters in Christ. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go rock with the rock. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. What you gonna do? If men are gonna do what they men, then guess what? God gonna do what he do. If Putin gonna do what he do, and he doing what he doing, isn't God more powerful than Putin? President Putin? He says that I will break the Assyrian in my land. Obviously, the context is speaking about the Assyrian, the Antichrist. And upon my mountains tread him underfoot. I mean, he gonna drag him. He gonna drag his ass. But that's what he is. He's an ass. He's a fool. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth. And this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? If the Lord said it's going to be done, it's going to come to pass, then guess what? How you going to disannul it? I laugh at people. You can say what you want to, it's still going to happen. And when it happens, I'm going to be the one to laugh in your face and say, I told you so. I ain't the type to say I told you so. I ain't that type to not say it, I mean. Yeah, I'm that type. Because I did tell you so, it's right here. Because what it do? They get mad. They get more mad. And they still get puffed up in their pride. And like, you proved my point. Instead of humbling yourself, you want to get more and more prideful. Yeah, I am a I told you so type of guy. Because I did tell you so. If I'm giving you prophetic things, then why would I not tell you I told you so? Meaning you should have listened. And maybe you would have been prepared. You should have put your pride aside. It goes on and says, and his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? You can grab my hand and turn my hand back. You know, I'm a man. You may be stronger than me. But you gonna grab God's hand and turn God's hand back? Stop it. Stop it. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Deal with it. A lot of y'all got another Jesus, another God, another Lord, another Master, another Savior. You ain't got him right here. He said this. So if he brings evil because he created it, then he know what he's doing. If you made something and you're showing it to somebody else, what's it like they trying to, oh, I know better than you. Well, first of all, you ain't never seen this before. Let me explain it to you because I'm the one that created it. I'm the one that made this. Let me show you how to use it the right way. Meaning that God knows what he's doing. If he created the evil, then he knows how to bring forth the evil in righteousness. Because he did all these things. If there's evil in a certain area, right now that's leading to World War III, hello, if there's evil in your city, the Lord is allowing it. Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. He ain't just talking about the word of God. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Ukraine. I'm trying to keep it down how many times I say it, because I'm going to say it later in the video. Ain't Ukraine and Russia pretty much the same people? Ha! Now you say, oh, they're divided. They're divided. Big brother beating up on little brother or whatever. They're divided. No, they ain't divided. They're on the same team. They are on the same team. That's why you see Zelensky, he bagging back now. I want to be part of NATO. Putin is showing them like, look, these folks don't care nothing for you for real, for real. You want to go and do business with them? I got something for you. Oh, I told you, this ain't got nothing to do with you for real, for real. That ain't none of your business right there. What they got going on in their house is what they got going on in their house. Go listen to that UFC fighter. When they asked him. The white guy. He country. He from Arkansas. That boy country. He said, look, I don't know nothing about that because everybody lying. He said, that really ain't got nothing to do with me. He said, now if it come to Arkansas, he said, I'm going to dig my heels in the ground. I'm going to fight to the death. I can commend that. I ain't finna fight to the death for no America. But hey, I can commend him. He fighting for what he believes. I'm going to fight for what I believe. I'm not a soldier of the United States. I'm a soldier of God. I'm a soldier of his government, not the United States of America. They can lock me up and put me in jail for not, you know what I'm saying, going to fight for America. It is what it is. But he said, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't even know what's going on. He said he don't know what's going on, so he talking about going over there. You got Americans going over. Like, come on. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. We'll cover that in another video. But you got people fighting. They're the same people fighting amongst each other. Because Lord says it's going to happen. A man's foe shall be they of his own household. You going to say Ukraine ain't really a part of Russia? Come on now. We went over the sermon about Gog and Magog. If it ain't now, it was before. It's going to be again. There's nothing new under the sun. You see what I'm saying? It was before. It's going to be again. It was not, and it is going to be. Give glory to the Lord your God before he calls darkness and before your feet stumble upon the dark mountains. And while ye look for light, he turn it into the shadow of death and make it gross darkness. Now, we got that. Let's jump over here. In the clip, you saw they called it avant-garde. This is where it comes from. Right here. Let's pronounce it real fast.
Avant-garde.
Avant-garde. What is it? It is new and unusual or experimental ideas, especially in the arts. Remember we discussed about the arts and technology? Or the people introducing them. Putin, way back then, named this new missile system after this. He's telling you that, hey, this is experimental, this is a new idea, this is unusual. Where even America saying, hey, we got to look into this because whatever they got, it's above our pay grade. Now, where did Putin get this? Because people, Russia is behind on their nuclear technology and their technology when it comes to missiles. Well, where did they get this technology from? This arts. Because that's what it is. Arts, technology, goes hand in hand. Go back and listen to our previous sermons. Where did they get it from? It's unusual and it's a experimental idea. Where they get it from? Where it's like, hey, we got it what we want. We wanted that, and now keep on playing with us. We got something for you. American, the ones that know, the ones in the upper echelon of America, the ones behind the scenes, they know. They know. Where did Putin get it from? Very, very interesting. Where did he get it from? Then they have this missile called Satan II. Satan II. They had Satan 1, but they named a missile. This missile package. Interestingly, it has, if I remember correctly, let me see if I see it real fast. Interestingly, it has 12 warheads. It can carry 12 warheads. Why 12? Why not 10? Why not 13? Why 12? Why 12? Why 12 Federal Reserve banks? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not 1? Why not 2? Why not 5? Why 12? Satan II. Very interesting choice of words. Now you can make the argument, okay, hey, Russia saying we're gonna send Satan to whoever we're gonna send it to. This is we're gonna send the enemy to y'all. Cause y'all see us as an enemy. Okay, we're gonna be that. You can make that argument, but when you tie the pieces together, I think there's something deeper going on, right? This article is from what is it, March? Could I say is from yesterday, if I remember correctly. Matter of fact, March 6th. Ukraine invasion. Has World War III already started? Some security experts believe existential global conflict has already begun. This is just a fancy way of saying some security experts believe that World War III has already started. They just do that to try to throw you off. The West and Russia are already at war in just about every sphere except actual fighting. But is escalation into an era-defining armed conflict inevitable? Asks Sky's Deborah Haynes. Pretty much said the same thing. It said there's still a reality where such a disaster is avoided or at least delayed. Everybody knows, except those who're supposed to know, that World War III is eventually going to happen. They're doing everything to avoid it, but why? That's the question, why? But right now, with violence raging across Ukraine and hostilities ramping up between Moscow and Western allies, the risk of events blowing up into World War III have never been greater, the Bible tells you. And given the advancing weapons, including nuclear warheads, how did the technology, I said it, how did there become advancing weapons? Through technology. Meaning knowledge, wisdom, and understanding coming forth. God revealing himself more and more, and they taking the knowledge and manipulating it in an unrighteous way. Including nuclear warheads since 1945. The potential consequences for the entire planet could not be graver. It is worth considering how events could unfold and why it is dangerous to assume the tragedy and suffering unleashed upon Ukraine will be contained within its borders. They tell you it's dangerous to assume that it's just going to stay over there. They're saying this. And it is dangerous to think that way. Get your head out the sand, if we say. First of all, as how you pronounce their name, the Secretary General of the NATO alliance observed this week, war is dangerous. It is also unpredictable. They're trying to control it, but they don't know how it can go. Most crucially, the war in Ukraine has become a proxy battlefield in a much wider contest between Western liberal democracies and the world's authoritarian regimes. Vladimir Putin's decision to invade Ukraine is centered around a desire to reverse an expansion eastward of the NATO alliance since the end of the Cold War and to reset the balance of security and influence in the region more favorably in his direction. He got to protect the interests of his people. What a lot of people don't know is America lied to Russia. You have the Warsaw Pact. Some of you know this, some of you don't. You had the Warsaw Pact. America and all them, they did NATO, and in response, Russia had the Warsaw Pact. America pretty much came in. I'm gonna condense this. I know I'm gonna miss some details, some points, obviously, but hey, just bear with me and use some common sense. America pretty much came in and said, hey, you disband this, we'll let you in with NATO. Russia, they disbanded their alliance and they didn't get to be a part of NATO. America pretty much gave them a runaround, kept on making excuses, blase, blase. And another thing that that was said was for them to stop expanding. Meaning NATO stopped expanding. That's what Russia wanted. Because they're like, hey, you are putting these military bases and everything right here on our front porch, right there at the street, and you don't think that we're supposed to say anything about it or do anything about it. We need it to stop. Remember, Russia and America ain't really never been on good terms in regards to modern day history, right? You got the Cold War and all this other stuff. So you can imagine, like, hey, y'all getting these nations, and you're coming into agreement that all y'all going to be one. So they get a nation like Ukraine or other nations that are right there at Russia. If Ukraine gets attacked or America gets attacked, then boom, it's like attacking all of them. And Russia didn't like that. So they came to the agreement. Russia disbanded their their alliance. And America did not allow Russia to become a part of NATO. In America, you know how America does, lying and being hypocrites. Oh, we never said that. But the evidence is overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. And then to spit in Russia's face, because America is so prideful and don't be thinking about stuff, they continue to expand with NATO. This is the behind the scenes stuff. They continue to expand with NATO. And then it got to the point where Ukraine is like, oh no, enough is enough. If anybody gonna have Ukraine, we're gonna have Ukraine. And then you got Putin doing what he's doing. That's the backstory behind all of this. I'm not telling you all that. If something boils over, it's because it's been boiling for a while. Just didn't happen. Something happened to get it to that point. And that's what happened. For real, for real. And it's all in accordance with the word of God. Because God is going to use Russia in the last days. As he's doing right now, but also later. And so they're trying to tip it back. Like, look, y'all ain't finna do this. You ain't finna have these military base and be doing all these different things right here, pretty much in what we deem as part of our territory. Then it goes on. It says it means the outcome of his actions could shape the fate of the whole Europe. It's going to shape the fate of the whole Europe regardless. The stakes could not be higher. Most immediately, Russia's invasion is a disaster for an entire generation of Ukrainians fighting for their survival or forced to flee. But the shock waves of the attack have also had a profound effect on the international system, with economic, financial, trade, cultural, travel, news, and sporting ties between Russia and the West all but severed. Keep that in mind. Remember, I go ahead and give it to you. Why does America not want World War III? Here you go right here. The love of money. I'm going to prove it to you too. President Putin on Saturday described the decision by the West to impose unprecedented sanctions against the regime as akin to declaring war. Putin is saying, keep on playing. Keep on playing. World War III has already begun, just not on the battlefield. This is according to this article. He is right. The two sides are locked in an economic and political war. And it always has something to do with money. But the UK, US, and other allies were only responding in the harshest way possible, short of military confrontation, to the Russian leader's aggression in Ukraine. I just gave you the backstory of why. They're not going to tell you all that. Most of them aren't. The key question is whether the two sides have the restraint and or desire to keep this wider conflict beneath the threshold of a full-blown military one. It is delicately balanced. It is a delicately balanced equation and underlines the fragility and the grayness of the line between what is conventionally viewed as peace and war. It's a thin line. It can be a very thin line. In terms of potential flashpoints that tip the war into armed confrontation, there are many. For example, NATO allies have made it very clear that they will not send troops into Ukraine to help Ukrainian armed forces defend themselves. That's an act of war. And then if NATO gets involved in it, then America has no choice but to get involved in it, because America is a part of NATO. Let me bring it up real fast. Let's bring it up. Y'all know how we do. Who are members of NATO? So we're going to bring that up, and we're going to go back and read the rest of this article. Such a move would effectively be a declaration of war with Russia from the moment the two sides start killing each other in direct combat. That's an act of war. That's an act of war. The same argument has been used by the West to reject increasingly anguished pleas by presidents. I think it's also the same thing. It just spelled differently. I think it's Vladimir Zelensky and his government to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine's skies. Why? Because if you did that, it would mean that you would have to shoot down Russian equipment, or Russian soldiers, or Russian pilots, or Russian equipment. That's an act of war. NATO has said that such a move, which would doubtless reduce Russia's ability to launch airstrikes against towns and cities, saving civilian lives, would involve Western warplanes going into combat with Russian jets, a move that could also trigger a much wider war. Instead, individual allies, including the UK, the US, and even since Russia's invasion began, previously more pacifist Germany, are attempting to track a middle line between direct intervention and doing nothing. To me, it's still an act of war. If you're supplying the people I'm fighting against weapons, then it's just as if you were part of the war, because you're helping them. Don't they call that in the law aiding and abetting? It's just a matter of when Putin says, enough is enough, or we should say, when God hardens his heart even more. This involves sending in weapons and ammunition to bolster Ukraine's ability to defend itself. And if you haven't been keeping up, Poland wanted to send the planes to America, and Poland wanted to send the jets to Ukraine by sending them to America and then having us send them. And America pretty much like, no, we ain't doing that. Because America do not want World War III. Only way that America is going to get involved in World War III is if God boom, 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 it's going to happen. President Biden, y'all can say what you want to about President Biden, but President Biden is trying to avoid it at all costs. He's trying to avoid it because he knows what it means, whoever in his ear or whatever. Co-President Biden. He knows what it means because he understands that money. America cannot afford to go into a war right now. Because most of the time, America, when they went to war on their terms. But I believe that America's going to be drawn into it. They ain't really had no choice. That's how I believe it's going to play out. Every burning tank is what keeps us going, one Western official said. The contributions include surface-to-air missiles and is set to include warplanes. The end result is not as effective as NATO directly protecting Ukraine's airspace, but it is clearly helping Ukraine do what amounts to the same thing. Like I said, to me, it's the same thing. Russia will appreciate the distinction is the hope. But that too is a matter of choice, and with that comes risk. What if Moscow decides to view the downing of one of his aircraft by a missile gifted to the Ukraine by America as akin to the U.S. shooting it down directly? Absolutely. The outcome, all-out war between Russia and the West, would be the same, which means all the rest of the nations would be involved. But the alternative for Western allies of doing nothing to support Ukraine military would simply make Ukraine's defeat inevitable, enabling Russia to score the prize of locking its neighbor into facing east rather than west. And the issue with this is, okay, America does nothing, NATO does nothing, right? Russia gets it, and then Putin becomes more and more emblazoned. Next, he's going for here and there and there and there and there and there and there. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem with it. If they don't do nothing, then you are empowering him even more. Because look how Putin is now. If you do something, then it can lead to World War III. Well, that's what happens when you walk in pride. That's what happens. I don't think we got to read the rest of this. Pretty much, they made the point. We go over here to our next point. It tells you what is NATO. Let's see if it gives like a rundown. NATO promotes democratic values and enables members to consult and cooperate on defense and security related issues to solve problems, build trust, and in the long run prevent conflict. America has these nations together to prevent conflict with what? I should say with who? With Russia and the nations that aren't a part of NATO. NATO is committed to peaceful resolution of disputes. If diplomatic efforts fail, it has the military power to undertake crisis management operations. These are carried out under the Collective Defense Clause of NATO's founding treaty, Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, or under a United Nations mandate, alone or in cooperation with other countries and international organizations. Now, I'm going to read this on my own. So I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to read it on my own and everything, right? Well, we go up here and we have the different members that are part of NATO. You see that? And this is when they join. You know how they got Germany to join? Through World War II. All these nations right here. United States, United Kingdom at the same time. And then you got Poland. These other nations right there where Russia is at. Drawing them in and everything. That's what he has a problem with. They're expanding. They said they wouldn't expand. This is why this would lead to World War III. If NATO does something, if one of these nations does something, then it involves all of these nations. And then the nations that don't align themselves with NATO are most likely going to align themselves with the nations that are fighting against these nations. Russia, China, boom, boom, boom. Right? We got that. Let's jump over here. Rubio, implementing no-fly zone over Ukraine means starting World War III. They're talking about it. They're talking about it. Senator Marco Rubio said on Sunday that implementing a no-fly zone, hold on. We just pretty much read that. But he said, noting that he is not sure a lot of people fully understand what that means. A no-fly zone has become a catchphrase. I'm not sure a lot of people fully understand what that means, Rubio told host George on ABC's This Week. That means flying airborne warning and control systems 24 hours a day. That means the willingness to shoot down and engage Russian airplanes in the sky. That means, frankly, you can't put those planes up there unless they're willing to knock out the anti-aircraft system that the Russians have deployed. Not just in Ukraine, but Russia and also in Belarus, Rubio said. So basically, a no-fly zone, if people understand what it means World War III. It means starting World War III, Rubio said. It's not some rule you pass that everybody has to oblige by. It's the willingness to shoot down the aircrafts of the Russian Federation, which is basically the beginning of World War III. So it's not written, but everybody knows this. It's like a unwritten law. Like, it's almost like common sense. An increasing number of U.S. lawmakers and officials in Ukraine are pleading for the Biden administration and its allies to establish a no-fly zone over Ukrainian airspace to help ward off Russian attacks. Now, I can say what y'all want to about Biden. I've had, things to say about him, righteously though. But that tells you that there are people in the White House. There are people in the American government, because of the spirit they have in them. They're trying to push America to the point of World War III. This is crazy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials have said that no-fly zone is a key request they have since the Russian invasion began in earnest roughly 2 weeks ago. Proponents believe a no-fly zone would cut off Russian air support, blunt the advance of Russian troops toward Kiev, and save the lives of innocent Ukrainians. You can call them innocent, but I ain't saying they're innocent. But Biden administration officials have been consistent and clear that a no-fly zone is off the table. For right now it is, citing the potential for dangerous ripple effects. They understand that if you do this, do you know what it means, Mr. President? It most likely will lead to World War III. And Biden is like, President Biden, co-president Biden is like, we can't afford this. That's what you ask. What is the cost going to be? The casualties and all this. Like, really, we can't afford it. We can't. Because of the money. No-fly zones are used to prohibit enemy aircraft from flying in a certain region and carrying out attacks on populations. All right, we got that one. I'm going to jump over here and I want to read this one a little bit. It says a little bit. It says a few things differently. Let me see. Let's scroll through it real fast. However, NATO countries have resisted over concerns that engaging directly with Russia would escalate tensions, potentially leading to a more large-scale conflict. A lot of nations are in on this because they know what it means in regards to money. But you got those that want war for the wrong reasons. Ernst, an Iowa Republican, acknowledged that she is thankful that Zelensky is making the request, and that's what he should do as the president of Ukraine, but said the U.S. should not engage directly with Russia out of escalation fears during her appearance on Fox News Sunday. They got on fears, right? They really fearful of this. It will be World War III, she said. And I don't think that's in the best interest of NATO, our partners and allies and friends. Instead, Ernst proposed providing air platforms to Ukraine to make sure that these pilots are able to protect their own airspace. Okay, we got that. I just wanted to bring in another witness. Now we jump over here to the scriptures, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And we read this. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, He hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils casteth he out devils. And he called them unto him, and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? People are trying to make it seem like Ukraine is innocent. And President Zelensky, he's this hero. They're on the same team. They don't truly believe in the God of the scriptures. Satan can't cast out Satan. Y'all are being played. Satan is not going to cast out Satan. Satan is the master deceiver, master manipulator. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Through war, he's bringing them together. Like, y'all going to be a part of this either way. They going to serve Satan because that's what they serve. That's their father. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. It just looks like they're divided because they're fighting. We fight amongst believers sometimes. Does that mean that we're divided? No, it just means that we had to fight. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods. Why and how do you think Satan was able to take over the whole world? He caused there to be division amongst Adam and Eve. Except he will first bind the strong man, then he will spoil his house. He caused war amongst Adam and Eve. And when that happened, they became a part of his kingdom, the kingdom of darkness, that ultimately spread to the whole world. Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and consulted whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? This Putin right here, he sat down, he counted the cost. He know he gonna win. Even when the media is saying what they're saying, or even may look like he lost, the man didn't lose. I'm telling you that in advance. Let's say, Ukraine has won the war. They won. No, they won the battle. They didn't win the war. Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desireth conditions of peace. You notice that this Zelensky guy, he's been double-minded. We're gonna fight. We're gonna win and everything. Hey, we willing to negotiate terms of peace. We're gonna defeat the Russians and this and that. The motherland, our country will stand strong. Hey, let's negotiate peace. Let's talk. And what Putin said, you're gonna do it my way or nothing. My way or nothing. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war. Putin must have got some real good advice, some real good counsel. I wonder who he has been getting his counsel from. Could it be these higher beings? And obviously we know God hardened his heart because, hey, this is what he want to do, okay? This is what you want. I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to use you according to my will. I'm going to use you according to my will. So we got that. We're going to go to our next point, if my computer will act right. And we read this article. We're trying everything to avoid World War III, acting U.S. ambassador to Ukraine says. This was from March 7th, a few days ago. They're trying to avoid World War III. Now, you know America, come on now. Why all of a sudden is America trying to avoid World War III? Oh, it's okay when you want to do it. Do all the slaughtering and killing unrighteously. But now, when it's not on your terms, you got a problem. You shaking in your boots. As Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine, NATO forces are building in border countries in an effort to contain the conflict and prevent a wider war, according to the latest assessment from the acting U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. The ambassador is reporting back to the president. We're trying everything we can to make sure it doesn't lead to World War III. Christina, how do you pronounce it? We can call it Christina, told NPR on Monday. But ultimately what? That depends on the actions of President Putin. The ambassador who reports to the president is telling the president, hey, it's out of our hands pretty much. Which is why you see America acting the way it's acting, because it's out of the hands of America. We told y'all over and over again, what you would see is the demise of the current superpower known as America to bring in the new superpower, which would be centrally located in Africa. And thinking about it, think about this. Russia has always had a desire to come back to being what it once was. Imagine, think about Russia having that desire. America dwindling down as a superpower. Ultimately, not being the superpower that it once was. Russia thinking, oh, this is our chance, this is our opportunity. We're coming back to prominence. But it doesn't go as planned. Instead of Russia becoming the new superpower from this devastating war that's going to come, a new superpower rises up, centralized in the Middle East, North Africa, Saudi Arabia, Basra, that area, Africa. And President Putin feels some type of way about that. Because you have this charismatic guy that steps on the scene and has all the answers to all the questions. He brings about worldwide peace. How do you think that's going to make President Putin feel? You know, if President Putin is assassinated or he dies or whatever, whoever it is after him, how do you think it's going to make them feel? That's going to enrage them even more. And that ties into our sermon from the other day, right? You see the connection? I mean, I'm just thinking that. Because it says, but ultimately that depends on the actions of President Putin. What is President Putin going to do when America keeps on, poking the bear? Is he going to see what America is doing as an act of war? He's kind of like already warned them. Notice I said warn them. He ain't warned me. We have sent extra troops to Poland and other NATO allies that border Ukraine to make sure that they have the security they need. If Russia takes one step, 1 inch into NATO territory, NATO will be prepared to respond. Everybody making threats. We're going to see how it goes. It ain't going to go good for America. And just being honest, it ain't going to go good for nobody. We will be affected by this also. We're being affected by it now. But hey, what we get from it, we ain't got to read all that because we kind of know all this stuff. So we close it out. I want you to see that. Now we're going to start to break down the whole money thing. It's about the money, y'all. It's always about the money when it comes to these people. Remember it mentioned economics? Economics is what? The art of managing a household. Also means the science of wealth. The art of managing wealth. When we're talking about economics, we're talking about the economy. The global economy. We're talking about the economy of the United States and how wealthy America is, and they're controlling that, what are we talking about? When we're talking about economics, we're talking about them dictating through art, through the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding of finances and money and stuff like that, dictating, because it's the science, right? Who they wanted to go to. Who they want to go to. They're managing this wealth and the money, distribution of money in their household, because this is their household. The people that are running America. This is their household, so they can dictate how the money flows to who they want to go to. Uh-oh, spaghetti, yo. Let's type in the word science real fast, just so you can see it. Science. Science. State or fact of knowing. Knowledge. Okay. Knowledge of wealth. How to get wealth and everything. And now what we're seeing. We just not catching up. We starting to learn how the game goes with real estate and everything. We starting to understand the laws and stuff like that. It's all falling apart. It's all falling apart. It's the knowledge of wealth, how to get wealth. The wisdom of getting wealth and then using it as an art to distribute it amongst who you want to distribute it amongst in your household. And we know who they keep the money from. Come on now, we know they don't want us to have it. And then they use their own people, white people, that they don't even see as them. A lot of white people, these people that got money, they don't even see you as white. They see you as one of us. But they turn around and use you and say, hey, these niggas may have more than you, but guess what? You still better than them. Still see yourself as better than them in every aspect. You could be strung out on drugs. A white person could be strung out on drugs, and some of these white people will still talk crazy to a black person that's doing something. You know, other way around also. But in the context of what we're speaking about. You see what's going on? That money being messed with. That money is being messed with. This is the issue. This is the problem. And we're going to get it from here. The branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. Production. We ain't producing no wealth like that. Most of us we past living check to check. Now that 65% of American households, meaning that, hey, our people are being affected by this now. We got to do something about this. We've been living check to check, most of us. Because most black people is broke. Now, we be living like we rich. We be living like we balling, but that's because where we come from. And that's the part that a lot of our people don't ever overcome. They'll never overcome that mindset of once upon a time being rich, being wealthy, and making a sacrifice that you need to make, which is through Christ and His gospel, to get back to that point. Again, the branch of knowledge concerned with what? Production. We consume. Black people, we consume. I ain't gonna lie. This is why I cover all these things in those long sermons that people don't really want to watch. But, you know, hey, I'm going to put them out regardless. You see, I ain't stopped yet. Just take the time to watch it because it all ties in together. And then when I be making points, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? What did you watch the video I did when I talked about all this and I was breaking down the black dollar and the black economics and everything? Boom, boom, boom. Did you watch that video? No, I didn't watch it. Okay. But you want me to explain it and you didn't watch the video? Come on now. With the production of what? Wealth. The consumption, who's going to be able to consume it, consume the wealth and get it, and transfer, meaning who is going to go to. How many of you actually knew that definition about economics? Then it tells you the condition of a region or group as regards material prosperity. keep it moving. How the changeover destroyed the economy. I'm not going to read these articles, but I just want you to see. You know this. I want to bring this to your remembrance. The changeover has destroyed 22 million jobs in advanced countries. Global wealth effects of the changeover. Economic impact of the changeover. You know what? Remember, we just read that, right? The changeover that shut down the world. Economic meltdown. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. We are going to read this one, though. We are going to read this one. This is why America doesn't want to go to war. America cannot afford to go to war. God allowed this to happen. It's right here, you know, the changeover, which already wreaked havoc on the money that they worship, right? It's not really they worshiping the money, they're worshiping themselves because of what they can do with the money. It's a form of control. You get a head start, and then you can reinvest that money. This is why I tell you it's deeper than real estate. I've been able to learn a lot of this and bring it together with me doing real estate. I wasn't into no economics and stuff like that. I wasn't studying this stuff. I'm just being real. I would, touch on it here and there, but I wasn't studying it. I didn't, growing up, I wasn't like, yeah, let me go get a major in economics. I wasn't studying that stuff. But now I am. So do you see what's going on? This is why America doesn't want to go to war right now. They can't afford it, and they know what it's going to cost. America would not recover from World War III because we haven't even covered. And I say we because I'm still here in America, and I'm being affected by the changeover. Also, it's affecting all of us. But America as a whole hasn't even recovered from that. It's just like it almost like disappeared now because hey, war is on the scene, so it's not that serious no more. And I understand, hey, this is a little bit more serious than this, but they blew that. We already know we ain't got to go there with this situation right here. We ain't got to go there. Y'all already know. And then we have this, how the changeover affected African Americans more. I did sermons on this, breaking it down. The disproportionate impact of the changeover on African Americans. And the article, after article, after article, after article, after article, after article, after article, how it affected and still affects us more than it affects everybody else. Isn't Israel the timepiece of prophecy, as they say? They've been saying it for years, but now that ain't the case because of who the people really are. They already had an issue with their slaves, who they see as their slaves, their property. And most African Americans, we are their slave, we are their property. Then you have this situation, and now the slaves is bucking. Right? They don't want to get it. We don't want to get it. They trying to make us get it. And like, hey, it's y'all fault. It's y'all fault. And it partly is our fault. Because of what the word says. That he will bring these pestilences upon us. Well, if he brings it upon us for our disobedience, then it's going to obviously affect the nations that we are in. Bringing the pestilence upon them. Not only because we're in a nation, but because of their disobedience and how they're treating us. The slaves is bucking. The African Americans and the minorities, so-called minorities, don't want to get the changeover. Because they brought this stuff over here and everything. Hey, it's their fault. It's messing with our money. Because they sick. If they sick, they can't work. Now we got to deal with war? No, we can't do that right now because our slaves are already bucking against the system. We got to get them back in line. We got to get our other people back in line. Just in case we need them even more, then we have that support, and then we can use them at a later date. Do you see the connections? Now we go over here. And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that all things, that includes war, and we know that all things, that includes this war that's currently going on, and we know that all things, that includes the changeover, and we know that all things, that includes the coming New World Order, Nussauer, Gussauer, the Great Reset, the Global Reset, the Galactic Federation, the Council of Nine, whatever else, Saint Germain's Trust, the Dragon Family. We know that all things work together for good to what? People quote this first part, but they don't quote the other part. To them that love God. They don't love God. This is working for our benefit. To them who are called, to them who are the called, according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son. These people, both black and white, are not conformed to the image of his Son. They're not conformed to the image of Christ, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God. Yeah, that thing sounded good out there. I don't know if y'all heard that. Car crunk up. All right, we got that. Let's go over here. The changeover sparks global economic crisis like no other, the IMF says. International Monetary Fund. I think that's what it stands for. The global changeover pandemic, can I say that, has sparked an economic crisis like no other, sending world GDP plunging 4.9% this year and wiping out 12 trillion over 2 years. Ooh-wee. Now, think about that. It wiped out 12 trillion in regards to the world GDP, but look how much money they made off of it. Even with all the money they made off of it, they lost a lot of money. Individually, a lot of people made a lot of money, but overall, they lost a lot of money. Because when you talk about the GDP overall, you're talking about something dealing with the people. Worldwide business shutdown destroyed hundreds of millions of jobs, and major economies in Europe face double-digit collapses. The prospects for recovery post-pandemic, like the forecasts themselves, are steeped in pervasive uncertainty, given the unpredictable path of the changeover, the IMF said in its updated World Economic Outlook. They didn't even know how it's going to play out. On top of now, war, it's about the money, y'all. The changeover, I guess I'll say it, pandemic has had a more negative impact on activity in the first half of 2020 than anticipated, and the recovery is projected to be more gradual than previously forecast, the fund warned. Meaning that it's not going to go, okay, you got it's going up, 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 up. It's going to be more slowly going back up than what we thought. So if it's moving up, it's way down here, right? We're going to say it right here. It's going back up, right? Gradually going up. You're trying to get it back up here. But if you right here, and then you got war, what's that going to do? Woo, going to go way down here. You see what I'm saying? While businesses are reopening in many countries, and China has seen a bigger rebound in activity than expected, a second wave of changeover infections threatens the outlook, the report said it. This is before this whole war thing popped off. This is back in was that January, February, March, April, May, June. This is June 24th, 2020. This is way back here. World GDP is expected to rebound by just 5.4% in 2021, and only if all goes well, the IMF warned. This is in 2021 they were saying that. We in 2022 now. And now you got war, and the economy is already in shambles. They even told you who's the most vulnerable. IMF chief economist, we ain't gonna pronounce that, said under current forecast, the crisis will destroy 12 trillion over 2 years and caution we are not out of the woods. Substantial joint support from fiscal and monetary policy must continue for now. The downturn is particularly damaging for low-income countries and people and households, including us, and threatens to endanger the progress made on reducing extreme poverty, the Washington-based crisis lender said in his report. The poor are going to get poorer, and the low-income countries are going to get worse, and then those in America is going to get worse for you, which is exactly what we are seeing. Now, again, remember, this is before this whole war thing. This is before the whole war thing. The fund made drastic downward revisions to most of the April forecast made in the early days of the changeover, and IMF economists fear the changeover will leave lasting scars on employment, businesses, and trade. That's absolutely true. We know that America will never be the same. Hanging over the predictions is the bill for massive government stimulus plans, which were fueled by extremely low interest rates and likely prevented the recession from turning into a depression, even as they created huge and ever-increasing debt levels. That money wasn't free like y'all thought it was. It's going to come at a cost. It was just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And we know that happened, and guess what? It still ain't really helped nothing. People got a little money, they spent it. They getting this tax money. They gonna spend it, and it still ain't helping nothing. And again, this is before all this war that's going on right now. The damage is nonetheless stunning and more widespread than any downturn in recent decades. The recession in many major economies will be more than double than suffered during the global financial crisis in 2009, which came as major developing economies like China, India, and Brazil were booming. China will eke out growth of 1% this year, the only positive figure on the long list of key economies the IMF tracks. So the only one that's really going to have a positive growth is China. And who is China doing business with? More so, Russia. And China's sending their products here. And so if we already teetering and about to collapse, the economy about to collapse, then what does that tell you in regard to China and Russia and all other nations? China is sending their products over here. China is in bed with Russia, in agreement with Russia. You see? Their economy is growing because they're sending their products over here. Which means that Russia is benefiting from it. The United States will shrink 8% and Germany slightly less, while France, Italy, Spain, and Britain, interestingly, these a lot of countries are in the NATO alliance, will suffer double-digit contractions. Japan makes out a bit better with a drop of just 5.8% according to the forecast. Mexico also will see a double-digit decline, while Brazil just misses that mark, as does Argentina, which is in the middle of a massive debt crunch on top of its health and economic crisis after the country once again defaulted on its foreign obligations. Why is Argentina the way it is? Because they filed bankruptcy, pretty much. Hey, we can't pay the debt that we owe. If they can't pay the debt that they owe, that's filing of a bankruptcy. So then you have a reset. Also, if you can't pay the debt that you owe, somebody has to eat that debt. Somebody has to eat it. We ain't gonna read all this, but you get the point. I'm trying to scroll through and see if I see anything else. We got that. This is Bill Aikman. Russia invasion means World War III likely already started. The Russia invasion of Ukraine means that World War III has likely already started, according to the who? Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Aikman. I'm going to call him Aikman. In January 2020, I had nightmares about the potential for a changeover, but everyone seemed to think I was crazy. I'm having similar nightmares now, Aikman tweeted on Saturday. He added, World War III has likely started already, but we have been slow to recognize it. Why? Because of the money. This billionaire is saying that. He said it way back when they had the changeover, when it was at its peak, and he having the same, I guess, gut feeling. You can make the argument the Lord is giving him his wisdom and giving his insight. I wouldn't disagree with that. He said he having that same discernment when it comes to this situation. He having nightmares. I had nightmares about the potential for the changeover. What is the potential he's talking about? He had a nightmare about the money. The money is not good. It's not good in regard. It's good for business. Don't get me wrong. We know that war is good for business for a lot of these people, but for certain individuals overall, collectively, it's not good for business. They're gonna make their money regardless because that's what they do. They understand the economics and they understand how they can make money either way. It could be a time of peace, a time of war, whatever. But they've been able to get to a point where they can control a lot of this stuff and still be able to make money off of it. Or we can have a war here and we can contain it, and then everywhere else we can be at peace. That's the art they have mastered. This is why they don't want World War III, because they understand that it means the collapse of all the global economies. If all the global economies collapse, then he ain't going to be no billionaire no more. He's not going to be a billionaire because you're going to have the New World Order come in. Now, he may be a billionaire or whatever in that if he, whatever he does with him and Satan. But these folk don't want to lose that money for real. They want to keep on milking it and milking it and milking it as long as they can until they can hopefully become gods. But they don't run this. They don't run this. They do not want, I know you might be like, well, I thought they wanted World War III. Some of them do. I thought they wanted to collapse. Some of them do, but most of them, they don't. You may think you want something and then be like, I don't want this. Because you realize, like, oh, dang, I'm not going to be in the same position that I'm in. The game is about to end. I'm just having fun. I don't want the game to end. Then you start having doubts and like, I don't want to do this no more. And then it's too late because Satan's like, look, your ass is mine. You belong to me. You're going to do what I tell you to do. We got that. We go to another article. Billionaire investor Bill Ackman says Russia attacking Ukraine means World War III has likely already started. So he said, the billionaire said the U.S. needed to impose harsher sanctions and stop buying Russian oil, which don't make no sense because it ain't really affecting nothing. For real. Not in regards to us. Them jacking them prices up on gasoline, that's just market manipulation to make more money. It's not like we get as much oil from Russia like Europe gets in regards to natural gas and oil and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy right here playing both sides. He trying to act like, oh, we don't want this, but in actuality, he does want it. Why would you suggest this, knowing it's going to put more pressure on the middle class and the poor? Oh, unless that's what you want, because that's what the Bible says, that when the wicked are in power, the poor, the needy, and even the righteous, everybody suffers. This man, he loves money. He loves himself. I'm pretty sure he don't believe what we believe. So I wouldn't be surprised if he playing both sides. I wouldn't. Oh no, World War III, we don't really want it. Now, like I said, some of them don't, because they realize like, damn, I'm gonna lose what I got. But I wouldn't be surprised if I think that he's playing a game, and he's thinking like, yeah, if we can let the situation play out the way we want it to play out, then we can make even more money off of it, and I can, you know what I'm saying, be even more rich. And then soon, he's going to realize the ultimate cost is going to cost him. I lost everything. This is what I believe is going on specifically with him. He understands the game, but he don't really, really, really understand the game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, he's made a literal pact with the devil, and he knows 100% what's coming. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's playing the game and he's in over his head, and he realizes like, oh my God, I'm calling on God now. We go over here and it says global stock market down, Ukraine war, and you just see different articles, article after article about these impacts it's having on the economy, impact it's having on the ability to trade money. And the ability to trade money deals with the ability to trade people, trade your slaves. Because remember, the stock market in this modern day world is based off of the slave trade. When they're trading debt and everything, they're trading debt that's coming from the people. Which is why in the book of Revelation, we see in regards to Mystery Babylon, the mother, would it say that she traded what? Slaves, men, and the souls of men. Each individual person has the ability to bring forth way more wealth and riches than you can imagine. Wealth comes from within. Riches come from within. And then you manifest it outwardly in some way, form, or fashion. Just like they mine the earth, they go in the earth to get it. We come from the earth, they go inside a person, the essence of what they are, to get those riches. And they found a way to manifest it in the way that they manifest it through the economy. Because, they say, we own this person. Everything that they put forth, the intellectual property, we can benefit off of. We have the rights to it. We have the mineral rights. We have the mineral rights, so we want it first. And then we're going to use it how we want to. We're going to take it in the raw form, and then we're going to manufacture it, we're going to process it, and we're going to make this off of it, that off of it, that off of it, that off of it. And then you're wondering why you're drawn to certain things, because it's a piece of you. Dealing with the people, y'all. Let me jump over here and see something real fast. I want to see something. Let's type in mineral. What does mineral actually mean? Substance obtained by mining. Something mined. Material substance that is neither animal nor vegetable. Okay, what does mind mean? Interestingly, we know about that. Belonging to me, my people, my family. Pit or tunnel made in the earth for the purpose of obtaining metals or minerals. Vein, to mine. So it's a combination of the two words, minna, mine, and then the R-A-L. Okay, that makes sense. The reason I want to read this is because this is what they're doing with the people. Don't they drill into the earth? Don't they take something that looks like a drill and they stick it in somebody's arm? Aren't diamonds created because of pressure? Don't they put something around the arm to create pressure so the vein pops? The vein pops, and they stick it in there because they're mining for something. I'm just saying. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other. If you hate one master, don't you hate the servants of that master? If you hate Satan, don't you hate Satan's servants? Or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. I'll tell you the same thing right here. Now we look at this word mammon. We're going to break it down so we get a better understanding. Confidence, i.e. wealth. Personified. Economics. Global economics. What did God do? God touching their pockets. This is why it's so hard to get black folk to come together. Not only because of our mindset, but a lot of black folk, they worship the same God that the white folks worship. They talk about the white folk, but they end up worshiping the same God as them. And the white folks end up worshiping the same God as the black folks. In regards to, the God of Mammon, who is Satan. Why is Satan the God of Mammon? Why is Satan known as the God of Mammon throughout history? Because what the Bible tells you in the book of Ezekiel, how he brought forth treasures and wealth to the people. I didn't have it in my notes, but I think I'm gonna add it with this sermon. If I don't add it, then I'm gonna do a completely different sermon on that. But you see, it says treasure, riches, where it is personified and opposed to God. God didn't say you can't get riches. He just said get it. If you get it righteously. Don't focus on that. If the opportunity comes, hey, you get it. Because you're going to use it to benefit the people. We're talking about riches that are personified and that are opposed to God. Now, let's see what personified means. That way we can get a better understanding of what it's telling us. Because there's no reason to read it and we don't really have an understanding. We want to have a basic understanding and we want to have a deeper understanding. Now you type in personified, it brings up this. Name of a sea goddess in Greek mythology. The sea personified. So when you personify, you deify it. Let's type in personify. To attribute personal form to inanimate objects or abstractions. To represent, embody. Okay? Riches where it's riches where it's embodied. You're giving more power to this money than what you're supposed to, meaning that you're putting your spirit into it. If you're putting your spirit into it, then you're putting your spirit and you're yoking yourself with the God of Mammon, who first and foremost did it, who we know as Satan. Because when you do that, it ends up being opposed to God. True riches, I'm talking about physical riches, are not opposed to God. But unrighteous riches are. Unrighteous wealth. Because you end up putting these riches, putting this wealth, and putting yourself over God. Now that we have that, let's jump over here and let's see what the Bible tells us. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. You see that? There's that personification. Because he had the abundance of riches, he didn't use the riches to do good with it. He didn't use the riches to do righteousness with it. He used the riches to do more wickedness. People get money, and most people, they do more wicked stuff. We see it all the time. That's why the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money itself. Why do these tell us the love of money is the root of all evil? If the love of money is the root of all evil, that means the love of money is the root of war. Unrighteous wars. Everything you see going on in the world because they love money. But why is that? Because they love themselves more than they love God. They have personified themselves, and money is a way to do that. To do more wickedness. Because they trust in the abundance of their riches. Meaning they trust in themselves. Remember Nebuchadnezzar? I've done all this. And what happened to him? He got struck down. God turned him into a beast. Literally gave him the heart of a beast. I did all this. This is my riches. God didn't get him because he had that stuff. God is the one that gave it to him. God said, hey, give me what's due to me. Give me my respect. Give me my glory. Hey, glorify me because I'm the one that gave you this, allowed you to get it. But no, because of the abundance of his riches that allow him to magnify himself even more than he normally would. That's for anybody. If I got more money, then I can magnify the ministry even more. If I don't, then I can, I have to be the way that I do it. It has to be the way that I do it now. This is why America does not want to go to World War III. They can't afford it. Their money is already messed up. God has touched them pockets. Hear this, all ye people, give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline mine ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the heart. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heel shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever. We don't trust in our riches. We trust in the riches of Christ. Well, we ain't supposed to have no money, brother. That ain't what the word says. And what I'm probably going to do is, if I don't add that part about Satan with this sermon, I'm probably going to do that one next. And then I'm probably going to drop my Is God Against Christians Being Rich sermon. And then another one I got lined up already. That may be the order I do it in. I haven't decided yet. Trust not in oppression. Become not vain in robbery. Look, he says, if riches increase, set not your heart upon them. Set your heart upon Christ. He said, okay, if you get it, don't be like them. Don't set your heart upon it. Like, give your heart over to these different things. And exalt yourself because of your riches that you have. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch. We're not trusting in our riches. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't, because we're going to get it either way. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken. And Shema shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. Why did Israel go into captivity? One of the reasons? Because we were trusting in our works and in our riches that we had. Wherefore gloriest thou in the valleys, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that trusted in her riches, saying, who shall come unto me? Because you got the money like, who gonna touch me? Oh, I'll buy your business. You gonna treat me like I'll buy you out. Now, sometimes it's a good thing to have that type of power. But with most people, it's not a good thing. Because the reason they're doing it, when they make a statement like that, or they're gonna do this with their money or whatever, it's vanity. It's pride. It's not because a place really needs to be shut down. Charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. So if God gives you something, he gives it to you for you to enjoy. If you're a millionaire, I know some millionaires that are believers, he gave it to you for you to enjoy it. If you can take $1 million and make 10 million, hey, do it. Why? If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. You'll gain that type of money to be able to help more and more people. Then I think we close with this one. Yeah. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. You know, I realized something as I did the sermon, but I may redo it. I may redo the sermon. I haven't released it yet, but I may redo it. But what I realized when I did that sermon, this is obviously one of the most misquoted scriptures. And this is one of the most taken out of context and misunderstood scriptures in the Bible in these modern day times. Not only is this misquoted a lot, but it's completely misunderstood. And I didn't really realize that until I did a sermon. I'm like, dang. There's a reason why he says this, but he's addressing a specific group of people. But let me jump over and see if I can find that scripture real fast. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. So, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused with Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared.